Hello and welcome to the news button. In today's news analysis, we shall discuss about whether President Putin will attack Finland next or not, especially after the Nordic nation's formal bid for NATO membership. Friends, Finland has formally confirmed its NATO membership bid, despite Moscow's repeated warnings against joining the military alliance. For the benefit of our viewers, let it be mentioned that Finland has been neutral for 80 years. This neutrality is responsible for the stable and pragmatic Finno-Russian relationship. A NATO membership bid would be a sea change in that historically very stable bilateral ties. On Saturday, Finnish President Sauli Niinistö, in a telephonic conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin, blamed the move on Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. He said, "Joining NATO would not be against anyone. You caused this. Look in the mirror." On Sunday, during a joint press conference at the presidential palace in Helsinki, the Finnish president and his prime minister, Sanna Marin, made clear that the Nordic country will now send a formal membership application to the NATO headquarters in Brussels. In his conversation with Putin, Niinistö unambiguously told him how thoroughly Finland's security environment had changed after Moscow's February 24 invasion on Ukraine. He pointed to Russia's demands on Finland refraining from seeking membership in NATO. Less than 3 months after Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th, the announcements on Sunday, first by Finland and then by Sweden, were a stunning reversal of the traditional and long-standing policies of military non-alignment. Finland shares a 1,340-kilometer long border with Russia, the longest by any European Union member. A NATO membership will lead to greater militarization along their borders. After the Finnish moves, immediately NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said on Sunday that NATO will look at providing security guarantees for Finland and Sweden during the interim period from their application for membership to accession. The NATO chief also voiced confidence at resolving Turkey's concerns on expected membership bids by Sweden and Finland. So the unthinkable has happened. In a bid to prevent Ukraine from going into the lap of US, Putin has not only lost Ukraine forever, but made the neighborhood more pro-US and anti-Russia officially than ever. Earlier, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev had warned Sweden and Finland against joining NATO and had threatened to deploy nuclear weapons to the Baltic if they do. So now that Finland has officially made a bid to join NATO, defying Russian warnings, will Finland be next on Putin's radar after Ukraine? Will Russia attack Finland, or was it just a veiled threat? Let's see for ourselves. Geostrategically, Russian threats may be of particular concern to Helsinki, since Finland shares a long border with Russia. If you turn to history, Finland didn't have a peaceful border with Russia. The country has been invaded by Russian or Soviet forces 3 times since 1980. Therefore, a Russian attack will be nothing new. But will the Russian attack come at all? If you look at Russia's current level of engagements in Ukraine, a Russian attack on Finland would not go particularly well for Moscow, given Russia's recent difficulties in Ukraine. Russia is now heavily tapped out for combat maneuver forces as a result of the military reversals they have suffered in Ukraine. As per a report, Russia has so far lost roughly a third of its ground forces in the war with Ukraine. Thus, evidently, Russia doesn't have a lot left for a major offensive in Finland. Even if they do, a new front in Finland will detract their ability and resources to prosecute the ongoing war in Ukraine. The Finnish military may not be as big as Ukraine's, but it isn't tiny either. It is much better trained and motivated than the Russian forces now. So, will striking Finland be impossible for Russia at this juncture? Not at all. Even though Russia's military operations in Ukraine may force it not to commit forces for an invasion into Finland, Russia still reserves the capacity to take some form of action. It has already cut power supply to Finland to toss the Finns into darkness. A lot more might follow. The most vulnerable time for Finland would be the time between when they formally submit their NATO application and the time that the 30-odd member states will take to ratify the proposal. In the coming days, Russia might rain missiles on Helsinki and other Finnish cities, pound military targets with artillery or air strikes as a way to create a conflict that would make NATO wary of admitting Finland. However, it's highly unlikely that Russia would be able to take Finland with these attacks, given its force levels are already too much stretched. It could have achieved it easily if Putin would have trained his guns at Finland first, rather than Ukraine. It would have been a much easier military goal to achieve. It's another matter that what he might have to face later to hold the occupied land, in which case Ukraine would have swiftly made moves to join NATO. The case of Finland and Sweden is not a standalone case. Way back in 2008, Russia had invaded Georgia to prevent the Caucasian country to move towards NATO. But this time, Russia is too bogged down with its war in Ukraine to do that. And that is exactly the calculus what Finland and Sweden have been waiting for. A situation when Russia is distracted and too much occupied elsewhere to respond. And this gives them the right window to make a move. Battered and exhausted in Ukraine, the Russian General Staff might be wary of opening another full front that could turn into another military quagmire on top of the one they are already facing in Ukraine. So in all likelihood, they would desist from inviting more trouble for them by launching a full-scale invasion of Finland. So there may not be outright invasion of Finland as has been done in Ukraine. But as Russia had earlier warned for sure, there would be some form of fiery retaliation from the Russian side. It could be long-range missile strikes, cutting off trade relations, using gas as a weapon, something along the lines of cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, or deliberate airspace violations. Military history suggests Russian forces had never been able to conquer Finland. Since 1918, Russian or Soviet forces have launched 3 major invasions of Finland. None of the conflicts resulted in outright military defeat for Finland. Despite the vast disparities in military strength, despite all this, the last 2 wars cost Finland 15% of its national territory. Hope you liked the conversation. So what are you waiting for? Just share your thoughts in the comment section. And if you haven't already, then like and subscribe to our channel. It will help us producing newer videos of your choice. In the next video, we shall discuss about this historical warfare between Finland and Soviet Russia, which will foster better understanding of the potential conflict between Russia and Finland. So stay tuned with us. Till then, goodbye. Thanks for your time.